We are live.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Before I get started, Alex, can you just confirm that my voice and screen are coming okay?
Yes, I can see the screen. I can hear you and I can see you.
Good.
That's very good.
Good.
Thank you.
Good stuff. No, thanks for that. Good morning to everyone that's joining me live on this webinar. For those of you who have seen me present before, you know that I don't like to dwell and drag things on too much. So I'm aiming for a half an hour session total. Regardless, how this works, we'll stick the webinar in our correct YouTube channel after one done. Any questions, comments, insults, what I'm like, just stick them in the chat window. And I only have one screen today, so I will get through those questions once I'm done with the slide deck. And let's see if we can have some insightful knowledge and conversations around here. It's like mandatory now. We in our presentations in Correct that we always discuss about our mission, which is basically to measure, map, and manage the natural built environment, and our brand promise as relayed to us by our customers, that we are transparent, reliable. We understand what customers want. We try to be supportive as much as possible, and we try to deliver answers in a timely manner. So we do our very best. This is going to be the agenda. It's quite a lengthy agenda, but essentially we'll talk about what's changed within the laser scanning portfolio with Trimble on the X9s, from the X7s to X9s in the last few months. What's unique about them? We'll focus a bit on the new licensing options. I will emphasis on the options, the why of it all. Why can this be important as a self-deterrence mechanism? We'll also have a bit of conversation regarding the business model of it all. The total cost of ownership of these things. I'll set aside a couple of minutes to debate now our Correct Group sister company, Sorvo, which is a public point cloud sharing and collaboration platform that we now distribute, and a few FAQs regarding scanning. This is what the portfolio looks like. Yes, there's like the SX12, the X12, the X9 Core and Premium now. They look exactly the same, but essentially what happens is we don't really sell the X7s anymore. They were superseded by the X9, even though all of them still retain their unique selling points in terms of being the only scanners that will do in-field auto registration. They will work in all weather because they have the highest IP rating for rain anywhere in the world with IP55. Survey grade leveling on all of them, auto calibration, and the fastest field to finish workflow. So this is how it was in terms of Trimble portfolio up until September 2024. I know that Trimble did a worldwide public announcement on the X9 Core and Premium when they replaced this, and we're just now settling into the market with this new product, which is essentially replacing the X7 with the X9 Core and introducing the X9 Premium, which is effectively what the old X9, I say old, but the X9 was before. These are the differences between the products. These are the only differences, technically speaking, between the products. So the Core will have 500,000 points per second as data rate with a max 80-meter range, and the Premium will have up to 1,000,000 points per second and a 50-meter range. For those of you that prefer to consume data on a table, I've highlighted here what the differences are in yellow, and in green. It's what's different from the X7. It was actually one of the things that our customers were commenting about the X7. They love the workflow. They love everything about it. It's just that the range noise on the X7 could have been a bit better. So now in the X9 Core and Premium range, actually, it's the same range noise on all of them. It's 1.5 mil at 30 meters, which is in line with what the customers asked for. so that Trimble is now matching that expectation. Everything else is the same: smart auto calibration, full registration, same IP rating, same feature with laser pointer, and same standard warranty of 2 years on the hardware, which is again unique in the industry. I'm slowing down a bit. Just felt like I was speaking just a bit too fast there for someone which English is not his native language. I'm going to keep on bashing on a few points here, because we learn more and more every day is a school day, and it's not enough to reiterate that actually the X7 and the X9 are the only scanners in the market that quote on the data sheet the full occupation times. What I mean by occupation time, the time that it takes for the scanner to go green to green, it actually matches what's on the data sheet. Other scanners won't do it, mainly competitor scanners. In all fairness, the X12 also quotes the scan time, not the occupation time, but it's a different level of product. This is important because in this class of scanner, you want to be able to know that if the scanner is quoting that it will do a 50-second scan. Actually, we're looking at a 57-second scan and not a minute 20, minute 40, 2 minutes. It's 50 seconds, 53. So I'm sure you'll apologize the 1% off. But this scan is from a calibrated scan, and it's within 3-second leveling accuracy every single time. So we don't compromise on the leveling accuracy, so that you guys don't have any issues with tilted data. Another thing that we've been learning, we at Corec. So before we offer a scanner to our customers, we obviously go through a process of consultation. And what we're finding is actually about 2/3 of our customer, when given the option, they prefer to take advantage of the in-field registration capabilities with Perspective. Whereas the rest, they will do kind of like a mixing. They will register in the field where they feel that it's appropriate for them to do so. Some of them prefer to go to the office and use Trimble RealWorks. We also have customers using third-party registration software entirely. That's something new that Trimble introduced also at late last year, is the Trimble Perspective, the registration office that you get for the field. You can now get it for the office as well. So you're not limited to using it in the field anymore. If you have a team, you can buy a Perpetual license for the office, and then you just transfer the data across. For those of you that prefer to do things in a bigger computer, or if you have a subscription license like Netflix, you can just log in and log out of the devices and optimize your investment that way. Ultimately, and again, I will reiterate this as a few times during this presentation, it's always the customer choice what you have to do. It's just so that you're in a good, let's say, almost spoiled for choice position, where you have a few different choices of registration software and licensing at your disposal. Yeah, but ultimately it's the customer's choice. We're not really enforcing anything to anyone. For those of you that like to do in-field registration, shout out to Serge from the Romanian Trimble dealer, who was kind enough to share this little video with me. One of the concerns sometimes when doing in-field registration is, but Cesar, how do we, because I'm used to checking my data with office-based registration. I'm like, okay, how do you check your data? Well, we don't really trust the registration reports because, statistics, then lies, and then lies. Totally get that. So the process is usually to slice your data, right? To do some slices on your data to check for misalignments and what have you. And it just so happens, yes, you can slice your data however you like it in Perspective as well. And again, whether you do it in the tablet or in the office, it's totally up to you. But this is possible. Yeah, Perspective is in effect a full-blown registration software. It's just optimized for touchscreen mode. Speaking of giving me the choice, RealWorks. RealWorks has been the Trimble office-based registration software for a number, over 2 decades now. It's also very much an option for the customers, and it's also very much still in development. So one of the last features that the Trimble team introduced to it two of them, actually. Let me put the video on pause for a second. One is when you're doing the in-field registration, you create these links between the scans. Those links are now imported into the latest version of TrimbleWorks, so Trimble RealWorks can start from that position. And now there's also an adjust registration tool within RealWorks that lets you codify links by a color map to indicate based off whatever the user defines as good or bad overlap or confidence level or residual. So it will color code them, the links visually. It will give you this little table there, and then it gives you a bit of control on how you can do adjustment and refinement of those links. So you can group scans together and refine just that group. You have the ability to create and delete multiple loop closures. So and just for a bit of clarity, Trimble Perspective does close the loops automatically upon refinement in the field. But if you go to Trimble RealWorks, you have manual control over where those loops are created. You can control them, you can create them yourselves, you can delete them, you can add new links where before there was none. So you have a bit of a different toolbox now available to you. On the auto calibration bit, yes, the scanner self-calibrates itself. It's a unique feature in the market. For those of you that understand the calibration process, even back from the total station days, I get this question a lot. Cesar, how does that work? Well, I'm going to say something probably for the most, let's say, senior surveyors out there. Typically, a calibration done at factory level, even from total station, is not really different in concept for a scanner. You need to stick it on a tripod, on a pillar. Stick the scanner or the total station on the pillar, and then face what's known in the industry as a collimator. What Trimble did in essence was miniaturize the collimator technology and stick it in the base of the X7 initially, but now also on the X9, so that it can do a calibration automatically for both angles and range. And it will do so every time you turn it on. The X9 is a bit more clever with it, so it will do it every time you turn it on. It will do it a couple more times during the day just as a sanity check. And if there's a temperature gradient of over 10 degrees, it will have to do another one just to cope with any range corrections that might be necessary. But what this means is, you're not sending it back to us to be once a year to be calibrated. Or if you're using any other scanner out there, you don't have to send it abroad, pay for an expensive calibration year on year, and potentially have to pay for an additional hire of the kit whilst yours is not available. The only time we want to see an X9 back, actually, we don't want to see it back, ever, again. If you break it, it just so happens that actually, also unique, we are able to fix it here in UK or Ireland, because we have repair facilities for the X7, X9, both in Huntington and in the Dublin offices. Literally just leave it with us, we'll get it sorted out. But you can save up towards 60K a year on those sorts of things, as reported by our customers. So quite unique at this generation of scanners. It's the only scanner that can level to a survey grade accuracy of 3 seconds. If you keep it within 10 degrees of vertical at all times. If you don't, it will still do it as long as the adjacent scans are within the leveling and the leveling range. What this means is over 20-meter distance, you're looking at 0.3 of a mil of a difference, distance from the scanner. And if you go upwards, you're looking again 0.14 of a mil. It looks better on my tables / comic charts, where actually if you stretch that distance over 100 meters, you can see that the X7 and X9, which are those two lines here in the bottom, you're keeping data quite leveled or quite vertical upwards to a distance of 50 meters, which is not usually what happens with other scanners, to which the vertical accuracy is sitting in the tens of seconds or hundreds of seconds of accuracy in its vertical measurements. Moving on to laser pointer, another unique thing. So we have the only laser scanner that has built in a laser pointer with a direct reflex measurement that lets you measure targets. It can be checkerboards, it can be anything with a little bit of accuracy, and this lets you do two things. one, show targets for you to georeference your point cloud out in the field. You can also take it to do individual discrete measurements of points, because sometimes you might be interested in just measuring a point, assign a feature code to that point, which you can, as opposed to capture a full 360 scan dome. I don't need, for this particular purpose, tens of millions of points. I just need the one, but I need that one point to be absolutely accurate, which you can do with the X9. It's funny because I was sharing this presentation with a couple of colleagues. I think this is a known meme. For those of you that like memes, I like memes. I'm not apologizing for it, but I don't think there's not the reason not to get a Trimble X9 scanner on subscription. Okay, which takes me to the subscription option subject. So starting from October last year, the X9s are now available to be licensed into flavors, whereas up to now, 20 years into the laser scanning industry, you can only buy a scanner and it will be perpetually licensed. And you can still do that today. That's not gone away. Now you have an option to go term or subscription license. So I'm not going to read all of the information there on the table, but there are still obviously a few pros to getting a scanner perpetual license. Let's say you're working for a public organization, you only have one opportunity to spend capital. You can afford to pay year on year. Therefore, obviously, of course, you want to go on a perpetual license. The licenses are also offline. It's the traditional way of working. Except if you do it that way, well, year-on-year maintenance for the software, you need to pay that separately. You have to put up a lot more investment to begin with. That means you're going to have a slower return on your investment. And if someone steals it, and unfortunately I have to mention this because it is a problem in the UK, unfortunately, for the industry, as you all are all painfully aware, including us. If someone steals it, it will carry on working in perpetuity. But if you get a scanner which is limited to working time year on year, you're paying a lot less money to begin with in year one. Therefore, that means you can keep whatever difference in money, you can keep that in the business to invest in other areas. And the knock-on effect of that is you're going to get a quicker or return on your investment. The software upgrades will be included if you go down this route, which means that any updates that you get in prospective releases, and they have been having quite regularly 2 major updates per year, those are included. You can get the same registration software in field and in the office in the form of perspective if you go subscription, because you just log in and log out wherever you want. If you prefer to do your registrations in the office for whatever purpose, you have a bit more flexibility, and I will run over some of those flexible options in subscription, because you can actually upgrade from a core scanner just with 80-meter range. You can upgrade it at any time to a 150-meter range one. You can upgrade or change from a subscription scanner to a perpetual one at any point. You have a bit more flexibility there. Also very important, if you're unlucky enough that someone steals your scanner, what happens is we'll cancel the license. The scanner will become a paperweight. There's nothing that anyone can do about it. End of story. I will develop this subject a bit more in a few other in the next few slides, but in essence, that's what happens. Question. Sorry, just having a sip of water there. Would you pay a salary of 5 years in advance when you're signing someone new? Hopefully, in your minds, the answer would be no, unless you're Cristiano, unless you're trying to sign Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi or something like that. But if you're not doing that for hiring someone, why would you do it for survey instruments when you have the choice? And again, emphasis on the choice. You have the choice to a perpetual or subscription. What this means is you invest initially a certain amount of capital, and then you can save the rest of the money later on. Bit more on that in a second. But yes, another thing that's new now, you can get perspective in the field or in the office, either as an additional perpetual license for the office, or you can share a subscription between the field and the office. And what this means is you're working with the same software. Therefore, there's only one thing to learn and to teach other surveyors in the team how to use. Obviously, the difference in the office, you'll enjoy a bigger screen, maybe a bit more processing power, not assuming the T10X, the tablet that Trimble has, is actually quite powerful as it is. But yes, you have the choice. Again, it's always the customer choice. You have the choice. You're in control of what you want to do. On the self-deterrence angle of this, I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be a good thing, and I'm actually expecting more people and more manufacturers to follow suit with this groundbreaking idea. So what happens if scanner gets stolen? We'll cancel the license, and the scanner will become a paperweight. And then if you decide to choose to buy another scanner, you're only paying percentage of the traditional perpetual cost. I will run that later on, and Trimble will transfer the licenses that you already paid for free of charge to the new product. Yeah, the same thing will happen in the unfortunate event if you damage a scanner beyond repair. We'll kill that off. We'll transfer the licenses onto a new scanner for you. There's no tracker to remove. It was brought up to our attention that actually two things. One, that the general public considers that trackers are a technology that can be overridden, or that can be overcome or removed from total stations. Not all tracker technology is the same, but regardless, the fact is, if there's no tracker to remove, there's nothing that you can remove from the scanner to make it work again. Nothing. And it is the case with the X9s. There's no buttons to press for you to reprogram, or for anyone to reprogram or try to bring the scanner back to life. There's nothing on that. There's no software, no way of resuscitating a scanner that has lost their licenses, unless obviously you're an approved Trimble dealer. There's no single button operation. So it is possible to use the X9 and X7 just as a push button operation. It's even possible to use it without the tablet, just store raw data on the scanner. But if the scanner is on a subscription license, that won't work either. So you can't even capture data without the tablet, and the event that you will be able to use an office registration software down in the workflow. That doesn't work either. The only thing that's going to happen, if there's no license on the scanner, the lights, when you turn it on, it will turn on, but they will go permanently white, and this gives a visual indication to that the scanner cannot be used, essentially. This is what the investment model for subscription and term on the X9 Premium looks like. Yeah, the one with the highest range and the higher data rate. So traditionally, if it's a perpetually licensed scanner, you will finance and pay for in advance 100% of the cost of the scanner to us. Yeah. If you get it in subscription, actually, in the case of the Premium, and I'll show you what the core looks like in a second. For the Premium one, you're only having to put up upfront 60% of the cost. Oops. And this is how much you have to finance and insurance the scanner for, which then makes it easier, obviously, for you to finance, because they're financing at a lower cost. Therefore, you have a monthly finance, a lower monthly cost that you have to return to the bank on finance. And one would hope that you're also paying a lower insurance premium on that. That also means...
Cesar,
yes?
Sorry, not sure. You are not sharing the screen anymore.
I'm not sure. I didn't press anything. But thanks for letting me know. Share. Okay, how about now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
It works now. Thank you.
Okay, so as I say, In Perpetual, you are putting up 100% of the cost initially. If you go subscription for the premium, you're looking at 59% of the initial cost that you have to finance for year one. We expect that you will do the same for the insurance premium, which then means that actually the return on investment, you can then distribute 40% of the value of the scanner to be distributed by the remaining 4 years, or for the next 4 years. And I will tell you where those 4 years came from in the next slide. It's because if you put it on the chart, this is what the year-on-year breakout investment looks like. So for an X9 Premium Perpetual, I've included here, just to be fair, the software maintenance, which is like to make it comparable to the X9 Premium, because that already includes it. You're looking at a 4.8 years period of time where you would actually match the Perpetual value. So that means that in year one, you have all of that budget that you can reinvest back in the office. So 40% of difference in cost. But this is where the additional 4 years come from for you to get the return on investment. Frequently asked question, what happens at the end of the 5-year period? Well, nothing different than what happens now with your scanners. What we're seeing is people that own a scanner for 5-6 years, they have the choice. They can either trade it back to us, they can either upgrade to another one, and they can carry on working with them. So all these options are still very much available to you. It doesn't change. The difference is in subscription, you're not paying 3-4K a year on calibrations with this. You're paying a fraction of that to keep the scanner going, and you're always going to get the software upgrades just to enjoy those increases in productivity. If that makes sense. You talked about the X9 Premium. This is what the model looks like for the core. So you pay a bit more in year one that you do on the Premium, and actually that's why we sold quite a number of these X9 scanners on subscription now. And given the choice, actually all of the customers have gone to the Premium. So we gave a choice between core and Premium to all of the deals that we made so far. All of them, without exception, went to the Premium one. Why? Yes, we're paying over a 5-year period of time. You're paying 25% more. But, however, you have a scanner that has double the range, which obviously expands the usability of it for outdoor work, whatever it might be, and you have more data just with only 20% more investment, which obviously over a 5-year time, it kind of gets very, 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 very diluted. And I can tell you now, it's less than the difference year on year is less than 2K a year, is less than £200 a month to get a Premium, other than to get a core. But one of those sales reps can run you by the numbers with a bit more detail anytime you want. And again, it's your choice whether to go Perpetual or subscription. If you go Perpetual, that's a more traditional way of licensing. It's ideal for those companies or organizations that have a one-time only chance of investing. And the licenses are obviously hosted offline permanently, which means if someone runs away with it, they will always work. If you go subscription, the initial investment is a lot lower monthly finance value, probably easier to get finance as well, and you always get the latest enhancements with the software. They will become paperweights if there's no license on them, which is, I think, it's a good thing. We are working on getting some visual indicators for the scanner, maybe a sticker. If you guys have any idea how we can make this a bit more visible and clear, I'm open to suggestions. But I think it's actually important to be able to say to the market, actually, there's no point in stealing this. It's a paperweight. Is there anything we can do about it? No. Can we remove a tracker? No. Can we install the software? No. Can we use it as a single push button operation? No. Sorry, not sorry. And you have a quicker return on investment because you can keep your money in the business and invest it somewhere else. The answer is always yes. So I'm going to nail the point here on a few additional points. Sentences: can I get an X9 still with a perpetual license? Yes, of course you can. That's not going to wait. It's the customer's choice. Can I get an X9 core an upgrade later to premium? Yes, you can. It matters not where you went to perpetual or subscription. This is possible. You can do that. Not a problem at all. Can I save 40% of the initial investment by going subscription? Yes. Yes, you can. Can I go from subscription and then change to perpetual? Say that 3 times really fast. Yes, you can. Can we say that the scanner becomes a paperweight if stolen on subscription? Yes, it's also true. Can we say that subscriptions are a good idea? It's probably a leading question, but don't shoot the messenger. Yes, I think they are. And the markets and our customers are validating this idea for us. It won't be obviously for everyone, but clearly it's a good idea. So if it's a good idea for scanners, would it be a good idea for other survey instruments? Wink, wink. Yes, I think so. Next on the list, Sorvo. So you might have heard or might have seen some public announcements from our CEO, Alan Brown, that we now have a sister company within the group called Sorvo, and they specialize in developing a point cloud sharing platform, which is essentially in the line. It's developed by us. We have our own developers in-house, spread across UK and Ireland, working on delivering a platform that will let you liberate your geospatial data. We're doing something different with it because we are making sure it's fully optimized to cope with drone data, mobile mapping data, terrestrial laser scanning data. We also issue a nice app for the phone for the mapping market. It is a quite simple to use platform, and I think being developed and supported by us, it has a lot of value. Essentially, using first and foremost for globally viewing and sharing laser scanning data. So this video is about 3 minutes long. I will try and talk, maybe not the whole thing, but this essentially shows the process of getting X9 data after completing a registration. So you get some 57s out, you get the panoramic images out from the scanner as well. And what you do after that, you can do it from the T10X tablet that goes with the scanner. You create a project location for your data. You can do that due to the fact that we are using the Cesium engine to display point cloud data, so that comes built in with some additional capabilities, like having the ability to bring in 3D models directly, 3D buildings into the platform, and then basically you just drag and drop some zip files into the platform. Once it's processed, it will be ready for viewing, like that. You might recognize our office in Huntingdon. That would be X9 data. Those little icons there are scan positions. They will have a panoramic image now loaded onto them, which you can also obviously review from there. Nice and easy, just drag and drop things into the portal. You can take distance measurements, vertical, slope, horizontal, area measurements, and those measurements are saved within the platform as well. And last but not least, again, I'm just, for the sake of time, I'm going to move this along a bit more. Actually, a little bit here. You can also take a screenshot, let's say a view, save that as part of the project, and then you can share that view with your customers, essentially, if you invite them onto the platform. There's obviously now different rendering options for data, and we also have, this is now the ability to have a clipping plane, which again is kind of like mandatory in this point cloud sharing platform world, having some clips so that you can interrogate your data a bit more. Finally, obviously, you need to share this with your either colleagues or customers. Yeah, just invite them over to the platform. The platform, they will get a link to register. After that, they can log in and see what is going on. And there's obviously different levels of access that you can offer to people. I still have the FAQ here. This is about the scanners. I'm not going to read, obviously, the slides. As I said, they this presentation will be available in our YouTube channel. I'm leaving this information here because it's very much focused on the whole self-deterrence thing. I think it's important that we get this message out. This FAQ is available also on my LinkedIn profile under the file, so you can download a PDF from there. But again, I guess the main point is, for this whole presentation, there's now the option to go subscription on the scanners. We think it's a good thing. The market is telling us it's a good thing because we're getting the buy-in more and more from our customers, and this is good from also self-deterrence perspective, because if someone steals it, there's literally nothing that anyone can do to bring it back to life. Not anything that the thieves can do. Obviously, if you recover the scanner by any means, bring it back to us. And obviously, we know that you own the scanner because we sold it to you. There will be a way to resuscitate it, but not from an unauthorized person. No chance. No chance. Can a hardware license on a stolen instrument be reinstated by an unauthorized party? No freaking way. I'm not apologizing for using the word freaking, by the way. Right. I think we might have, already exhausted my 30 minutes, but I'll still try to answer a couple of questions from the queue. Let me just stop sharing my screen. Well, we'll see what options we have there. Hello, folks. Looking good, Cesar. You're looking good yourself, Duncan. I don't see your picture, but you look all usually very good. Thank you for that. Any word on the free perspective you were at for the distribution to customers? Good question. I'll ask Trimble. I haven't heard anything, but I will ask them. Not a problem. With a perpetual license, you can no longer access to firmware functionality. I'll read this correctly. You can no longer get access to firmware functionality updates. Yes, you can. Of course you can. Yes, perpetually, you can get access to them. Your own year, if you choose to buy an additional package to that, of course you can. You get the first year included. After that, your choice whether to get more or not. Again, it's the customer's choice. And I think I'm going to call it today because unfortunately I ran over by 5 minutes on this, so I do apologize. As usual, many thanks for joining me. If there's any lingering questions, comments, insults, as usual, you know where to find me. You know where to find us. Give us a shout. We will get it sorted. Okay. Thanks very much for joining, and I hope you have a rest of a great day.
Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna end the event now, and then, as Cesar said, we're gonna upload on our YouTube channel this recording, and then you can find it there. Okay, thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.